Goeiedag, we gaan dit. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, you are here because the reigning, the defending, the undisputed, the undeniable, the #1 ranked team in the world, the Springboks, has redeemed themselves from that loss in the Rugby World Cup pool stage by beating Ireland at home 27 points to 20 in this monumental grudge match of, can I say the century? Probably not the century, probably like the decade. Again, it's only 4 years in the decade. Let's call it the decade, the monumental grudge match of the decade. And boy, this was a really interesting game to say the least, because there were times the Springboks had absolute dominance over Ireland, and they were not able to convert that into any points. Handré Pollard, 100% goal kicking at the Rugby World Cup, turns into 50% again. By the way, that's no surprise to me, because that's exactly what we expect from Handré Pollard. That's exactly what we've seen from Handré Pollard in the last 4 years. He drops to 50%, right, between World Cups for some reason. And and that had me really concerned in the middle, in the middle of the second half, where I thought maybe Ireland can actually pull themselves together and win this one, especially when there was a number of tries that kind of Ireland could have, the dice could have rolled their way, and the referee had not declined those tries. This could have been a win for Ireland. So it was really much closer than I was expecting. But luckily, the bomb squad delivered. The scrum, the monumental scrum penalty try at the end. What a way to finish this grudge match. It's like the stuff that I dream of, right? How to win the perfect test match. The scrum penalty right in front of the goal line to win the game with a penalty try by marching, literally running the opposition scrum behind the try line. That is my dream, right? I literally, that's what I dream about, right? And speaking of the scrummaging, one thing I thought was really interesting as well, because this is obviously the new law has been implemented, and I actually thought the law was a big hindrance to the scrum. Actually, it turns out that depends on the way, the way that they interpret the short-on penalties during scrum time is actually much, much more tighter now than before. The referee are very reluctant to give out short-on penalties, as they were before, because they're knowing that if they give out short-on, the team has lost the opportunity for the scrum. And also, if the same short-on penalties occurs more than once, as we're shown tonight by Luke Pearce, it's turned immediately into a full-on penalty. So in a sense, that this actually made the scrum a little bit more potent at milking penalties than before. So yeah, that's actually maybe something that the World Rugby not intended for, but I guess that's good. And it actually showed tonight that there was a little bit of this actually was a little bit interesting as well, because the fact that two short-on penalties, the second short-on penalty for the same infringement gets immediately turned into a penalty during scrum, there has been a very clear shift to not holding the weight on engagement. So this is something that kind of first occurred at the Rugby World Cup, where teams would engage and not hold their weights, resulting in that both teams just basically touching each other and not actually initiating the engagement. And we saw that tonight in the All Blacks game a little bit as well, when the England team was doing it, and from the Irish team as well. They're also doing it. They were not holding the weight and try to just bait the opposition to get the early push on, and then a short-on penalty turns into a full-on penalty for the second infringement. And they did actually succeed in that a couple times against the Springboks. In addition, I want to talk about the Andrew Porter's technique in the scrummaging. I mean, this guy is absolute monster in his scrummaging, first of all, and I think he's just so talented, so good. And some of these dark hearts, I really wanted to just point out how intricate these things actually are, and just to see exactly what he's doing, and that's that is so potent against his opposition. Whether it's legal or not, you can argue yourselves. I don't think it's legal, but let's have a quick look at the scrum, and let's have a look what Irish is doing to try to get those short-on penalties, and maybe try to get those turned into full-on penalties. So this is what he does. So what Porter does in the engagement is he will engage and pull you at the same time. So then your props get overextended, and maybe and he literally tries to get you to collapse. And then as the push comes on, he'll try to pull you again, and with, when you get pulled down, right? As a tight end prop, your first instinct is try to pull yourself back up, and Porter will follow through with your attempt to pull yourself back up. Frosma Herbert's putting himself back up. He'll follow through with that momentum and push you through to win the scrum. So it's really intricate what he's doing, but he's done that very successfully, and I am very surprised that the referee is allowing him to do this. So let's have a quick look at what he's actually doing. Right, first of all, he's reaching for a very long bind. So he's already grabbing his jersey from way here, and he's pulling your hips through. Right, your hip is where your center of gravity is. He's trying to get as close to your center of gravity as he can, and you can see he's already pulling him. Watch the Watch the pull. Watch the pull coming out. Watch that. He's already pulling and yanking him underneath him, and this basically, see that? He's literally trying to pull the scrum down, and Mel Herbert, sensing that scrum's going down, tries to lift it back up, and Porter follows that through. Right? So Mel Herbert trying to work his way back up, and Porter just follows that through to get that ascendancy. And that's not the only time. That's exactly what he does almost every scrum. So he pulls you forward, try to get you to get that early push on him, right? And if he senses that you're not getting the early push on him, he will try to get underneath you as you try to pull back, right? So watch this, another one right here. And this time, referee's right in front of him. I'm really surprised that referee's allowing him to do this. So again, he's already got a long bridge, and he's already got the pull happening. See here? You can see that Porter is already coiled. He's coiled, knees bent, and he's already making Mel Herbert overextend. See, Mel Herbert is already on the verge of slipping over because Porter is not only that he's pulling him through, but Porter has coiled himself back. Right, this is very obvious what he's doing. And Mel Herbert is already under pressure because Mel Herbert has to try to come back to not fall over. And again, you can see the Porter yanks him down right there. And as Mel Herbert is trying to readjust himself back up again, Porter follows through and try to get the wheel on the scrum. And he didn't get the penalty here. He didn't get a short arm. But yeah, it is a very clear strategy that he's done here tonight. And the boy, it's something that I don't know this is happening more and more often, that teams are pulling players at the engagement. And I think what Andrew Porter there is doing is very, very, I don't know. You can let me know your thoughts if that's legal or not. I don't think that's legal. In fact, there was one time when the scrum did collapse as a result of him pulling, and the referee penalized the South Africans. So yeah, so that's something that I think the World Rugby may have to look into a little bit more. So yeah, with that being said, both teams are absolutely tremendously good in defense, and the Springboks, especially the Irish team, was able to absorb so much pressure in front of the goal line and not able to give that into points. The Springboks was really good for about 70 minutes, and then kind of just almost let the floodgate open, allowing Ireland to pull themselves back into the game after getting ahead, which had me a little bit concerned. And with that aside, there was a couple of, like as already mentioned, a couple of 50-50 calls that could have been tries for the Irish. There was one try where James Lowe was so good. I've mentioned him in the preview. He's so strong now. He's actually stronger than he was before, and he's still incredibly fast. And it's just so hard to tackle the way he moves around. And he scored a try he ran down side of the field, and it was denied because his teammate hooked the ball out of the ruck whilst one of his knees was on the ground. So that was one. There was another one where I thought Kalen Doris almost looked like the ball scraped the tip of the grass, and there was no clear evidence there. And on the opposite end, so there was two tries, very close, denied against Ireland, and there was one try given to Springboks because this incident where the Springboks had a scrum penalty, they tried to kick the ball out to find touch, and James Lowe rescued the touch finder only for Cheslin Kobe to be there and then kick the ball through, scoring a try as a result. So this try was depending on whether James Lowe had his hand on the ball right here when his foot was on the ground here. So his foot is clear on the ground, but it's inconclusive if the ball is on the hand or not. I mean, to be fair, I think that his hand might still be touching the ball, but you need the camera angle from the right hand side to see whether or not there's a gap between his hand on the ball, but there was none. So from this angle alone, there's no conclusive evidence that his hand was touching the ball here, even though it looked like it could have been, because you could have an object in front of you, right? I'm not touching the cup with my right hand, but it looked like it is touching the cup because of the camera angle. So yeah, it's a bit of a yeah. Again, this is just very close. If this try had been denied, South Africa could be a draw in this match. This is just how close the two teams actually line up to be. There was a very sickening injury to Casey. He got tackled and on his back, and his whiplash his head to the ground. He had his thumb up, which was good, and he looked like completely knocked out because getting hit in the back of head can cause really serious injuries to players. So hopefully he's gonna be okay, and maybe just a bit of a neck crank, and you're really hoping there was no serious head injury from that. And yeah, so yeah, that was from Achia Snyman as well, his own teammate apparently I think he's our teammate. I'm pretty sure they're teammates in Ireland. So yeah, with that aside, anything else we want to talk about? The crowd was really, really crazy, good as well. So the anthem was sung by the fans, was so good. I've heard the South African anthem so many times, I can probably sing it myself, to be honest. Like, that was really good anthem, really nicely done. There was some very so Wildkard Smith was dropping the ball from the high ball a little bit. Yeah, so let's talk about the kicking game, right? So the Wildkard Smith was dropping the ball a bit. Obviously, he normally plays 7. He doesn't take those high balls that often. But as the number 8, you do take the high ball. And he dropped the ball a couple of times, and the crowd just start cheering every time he catches the ball, ironically. And so the kicking game, again, was very tame for a Springboks match. Again, there's a shift away from the box kick, the high ball pressure. Because of the fact that teams are doing this thing, again, I'm just starting to see this. This hasn't been seen in Super Rugby because there's not that much of a kicking game at all. But maybe this is happening in URC already a lot. So players, as the ball goes to where it's going to land, the retreating players would just circle around the where the ball's going to land and basically create a semicircle to protect the ball catcher. And that's not illegal, because if you just hold your line, if you hold your line, you are allowed to stand anywhere you like, as long as you don't change your line. So everybody just kind of like runs in to where the ball will land and then just stand around like in a circle. And that has really made the high balls a lot less potent than it was before. So that whole strategy of like high ball and try to contest that to get territory has been kind of like just taken out of the playbook. I quite like the kicking game was very tame when it comes to that front. And I was expecting maybe a little bit more from Billy LaRue. Again, very good kicking in the Bulls. And it wasn't really shown too much for the Springboks. Both teams were pretty happy to just run and rumble with the ball. Finally, before we get to the stats, Faf de Klerk's hair. Normally I think his hair just looks nice. Like, he's got nice blonde hair. But tonight his hair was actually incredibly beautiful, right? It was so pretty. Like, the effort, the money that he put into it was truly, truly worth it. And whoever gets to go home, I think he's married, is he? Yeah, his wife is a lucky lady, right? Having him taking care of his hair so well. I'm sure she's very happy with that. But I wonder how much money it cost him to do a haircut, because it was really, seriously, quite beautiful. And a lot of women will be envious of what he's got right there on his head. So let's go through the match stats of the game. 390 run meters to the Springboks, 314 for Ireland. 17 turnovers conceded for the Springboks, 14 conceded against Ireland. 138 tackles for the Springboks, 20 missed tackles. Really kind of good for the Springboks. I think maybe you want to dial it down a little bit. You want it to be around the 10% mark. 141 for the Ireland, 21 missed tackles. So not too far off between the two teams. Again, it depends. I guess the missed tackle count also depends on the position you play. If you play really good opposition, your tackle count tends a little bit higher. So it's actually perfectly fine. 20 kicks in play for the Springboks and 21 for Ireland. So really tame kicking for both teams. And yeah, Handré Pollard, 4 out of 7? Is it 4 out of 7? 4 out of 7. Yep, 4 out of 7. And is that 4 out of 7? Is that even right? 4 out of... Wait, this stats has just changed. What is going on? Yeah, 4 out of 7. And yeah, just slightly above 50%. Yeah, classic. And Ireland wasn't doing that great either. Crowley was missing a few. They missed, both kickers who missed a couple, at least one each from pretty easy positions on the field. So who knows? Kick from hand, 104 from hand meters. This is what I mean. 415 meters from the Springboks, 542. Is that actually right? In the All Blacks game, just to give you an idea, the All Blacks game, the All Blacks kicked over 1,000 meters, and England kicked about 800 meters in those games. And that wasn't even, that just shows you how much the difference it is between the two teams when it comes to kicking game, and especially the Springboks, a team that has been known to be, heavily relying on kicking, really tamed that down quite a lot. Again, a clear shift away from some of the strategies. Line out, 1 loss for the Springboks, 4 loss for Ireland. A little bit something that Andy Farrell will be looking at over the week. Scrum as well, 0 scrum loss, except for the Springboks was more dominant in the second half when Steenekamp came onto the field with Vincent Koch. And yeah, I've been in my preview, so I thought Steenekamp probably should have, deserved the start based on how good he was against Andrew Porter and Ty Furlong. Pretty sure is a loose air prop. So against Ty Furlong in the URC, but yeah, he showed again. It wasn't a fluke. Come onto the field and just destroy the scrummaging, including that scrum try at the end. Penalty count really good for both teams. 9 apiece. 1 yellow card for each team. So there was 1 yellow card to, I think there was both. Just technically, so the scrum was a yellow card to Ireland's hooker Kelleher. The scrum penalty try at the end, and there was a penalty against Curdy Ardens for repeatedly giving out penalties right in front of the try line, and so that's well deserved against him as well. So yeah, let's quickly take a recap on in the key moments of the game. It took about how long did it took about 2 minutes. Yeah, literally 2 minutes for the Springboks to score their first try. Just the ball was about halfway. Again, didn't kick the ball away like normally would. Just crashed the ball a few times, got some forward momentum. The ball came out. Just quick hands out wide to Curdy Allen, started running down the side of the field. The new guy, Osborne, came up to tackle Curdy and just got stepped. And easy as that. First try, 7 points to 0 to the Springboks. The 60 minutes into the game, the Irish had an opportunity to return their first try. They had a penalty right in front of the goal line, 5 meters out. And I don't know why teams do this these days. It's just complete stupidity. They had a penalty and they decided to go for not a quick tap, it's a slow tap. Yes, where you'll wait for the opposition to set up, you set up yourself, and then you take a tap. So it's just, I don't know why teams do this. There was no advantage in doing this. And sure enough, they just crashed the ball a few times, knock on, completely botching the opportunity. If they just went for the maul, this would have been a much higher chance of scoring than just taking a slow tap. So I don't agree with this sort of stuff. But anyway, 7 minutes into the game, we're going to talk about the scrums. And 11 minutes into the game, Ireland finally getting themselves back into the Springboks half. An opportunity for a penalty, not rolling away. And Crowley kicked this one, 3 points to 7. Wildkard Smith knocked on the ball twice already at this point, and he's getting sarcastic applause from the crowd. 14 minutes into the game, Sia Khaleesi destroys Robbie Henshaw, just completely ran into him and almost looked like he knocked him out there. 16 minutes into the game, there was a penalty against Joe McCarthy for not rolling away. 100 Pollard kicked this one, 10 points to 3. And 24 minutes of the game, the Springboks got penalized for pushing the scrum early. Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm not really sure if that is the right thing. 27 minutes into the game, again, there was a penalty against Andrew Porter. He was on the ground, reaching out and kind of pulled the halfback's arm to get the halfback to drop the ball. And that was a penalty. You're not allowed to do that while you're on the ground. And 100 Pollard kick another one, 13 points to 3. There was 31 minutes into the game. There was a penalty against Bungin Bunabi for crawling on the ground and then putting his hand out on the and then disrupting the tackling the number 9. So the commentary actually said he wasn't on the ground, but he actually was. His hand actually touched the ground first, and then he got up to make the grip onto the Irish number 9, Casey, and then so I think that was the right decision there. And Crowley missed this one pretty much right in front. Yeah, not looking good. 32 minutes in the game with Crowley missing that right in front. The Irish decided to go for the try, and they didn't. So they came in. So they set up the line out. They crashed the ball center field a number of times. Eventually, the ball spread out wide, and it was what's his name? There was it was the hooker, I think it was. So yeah, it was basically I think it was the hooker did like a little backflip to James Lowe, who was sweeping around, and he was running down the sideline, and Curdy Alensa just basically smashed him, and as he was going out of bounds, he flicked the ball back in field, and Osborne caught the ball, went in for the try, and it was just like incredible from James Lowe. Again, it's such an incredible form right now for Ireland. And yes, that was half time. The Irish called themselves back. 13 points to 8 was the score. Second half started. 5 minutes into the second half, the Irish player, one of the Irish players, I think, who was it? I can't remember. Well, Barlin was penalised for kicking the ball out of the hands from the halfback from in the ruck. And another miss for Hundred Pollard. And this was the first miss by Hundred Pollard of the evening. And the ref and the commentators kind of like cursed him, was kind of like, Hundred Pollard usually 100%. And then at that point, I knew he was going to miss a lot more than that. 50 minutes into the game, the Springboks brought on the bomb squad, 6 substitutions. The entire 4-pack, except for Wildkard Smith, was taken off. Another penalty to Ireland for early push against the Springboks. In fact, this was the first one. This was actually a full-on penalty. The first one was a short arm. So that pulling back, clearly working for the Irish. At this point, the Springboks was looking really shaky. A lot of like offloads not going to hands, really trying to push maybe a little bit too hard, and actually making mistakes that probably, because of the fact that they were probably getting a little bit frustrated by the fact that they haven't been able to score points against Ireland, and with Hundred Pollard missing kicks. But yeah, incredible defense by the Irish team, not letting the Springboks through. Finally, 57 minutes into the game, there was a nice little play, a quick turnover at the breakdown, quick ball out of the short side. James looked down the sideline, pumps off Pollard, try time, everyone is celebrating, and then the referee looked at it. The ball was kicked out of the ruck by a player on the ground. I think it was Sheehan. Dan Sheehan did it, and then no try, penalty, reverse. So this could have been 3 points down the way. 100 Pollard missed another one. Not even near this kick. So 63 minutes of the game, Casey got KO'd, knocked out from a tackle from his teammate Achias Neyman. 63 minutes into the game, a scrum penalty to the Springboks, and they were exiting their own half. Pollard couldn't find touch, which led to this incident where James Lowe rescues the ball for the Springboks. Cheslin Kobe chasing this kick, and a lot of players, it just shows how good this guy actually is. Never give out any opportunity to the opposition. So the ball was scooped back in by what's his name, James Lowe, and Cheslin Kobe was there to kick the ball through. All the Irish players were kind of like off guard, and he went through, ground the ball for the try. 20 points there. At this point, you think that the Springboks has almost pretty much won the game. 15 minutes left, you're up by 2 tries, and then 72 minutes into the game, the Irish was coming back. Springboks were trying to hold on. Curdy Arlenson was sent over the yellow card, multiple penalties right in front of his goal line, and then eventually the Irish was just, tap and go. They got really close. It looked like what's his name? Kalen Doris had maybe scraped the ball on the try line before he was held up, but not inconclusive. Can't decide on that. Referee on-field decision, no try. Finally, and the ball, so it looked like the Springboks has diffused opportunity. There was a goal line dropout, 5 minutes left. Surely Springboks won this. Nope, goal line dropout, and then there was a nice little play by the Irish. So Finlay Beelum got the crash ball option at center field. So as he was going for the crash ball, just a nice little pop back in field for a nice gap right next to him. And his partner in crime, what was his name? The other prop, Ronan Keller, ran through the gap, and then he linked up with Connor Murray, ran through right under the post. Suddenly the scoreboard, 20 points to 15. 5 minutes left. It's completely not over yet. Finally, 78 minutes of the game. There was from the kickoff, the ball actually went too far, and James Lowe made a massive mistake. He actually touched the ball before the ball could have just gone dead, and there would have been scrum at halfway. But James Lowe touched the ball, so he completely botched that, and there was a 5-minute scrum for the Springboks. And Springboks absolute dominant in scrum, just completely ran in for a penalty try. And Roland Keller was sent off with a yellow card. 27 points to 15. Again, celebration was happening immediately from the kickoff. The Irish got the ball back, and then just some really good hands. A nice long ball to James Lowe out down the sideline. Again, he ran in, drawn, the last defender, popped the ball over the top to Baird, and he went into the corner for the try. And then it was just like, well, there's still time for a kickoff. Crowley tried to kick the conversion. The ball got blown over as he's coming in for the kick, and then he has to quickly do a drop kick as the people were trying to charge him down. So didn't get that, but still, Ireland still had an opportunity to win the game, or level the game at least, with one more play. The kickoff, and the game played a few phases, knock on, game over, Springboks win, and settling the score for a decider next week, I guess. One apiece. One more to go next week. And like I said, I was very happy to see Sasha going onto the field at number 10 jersey. And considering how bad the kicking was for Henry Pollard, maybe we'll see Sasha next week in the starting 10 jersey. That is my bet. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a good one. I'll see you guys next week in the news. Cheers.